An American Airlines mechanic has been charged with sabotaging a plane before takeoff. Phil LeBeau joins us right now. And Phil, tell us the details on this. What happened?
Well, it's a scary story, Becky, especially when you consider what might have happened had this plane been able to take off. But it did not take off. The arrest affidavit, federal arrest affidavit, was unsealed yesterday. And essentially, this is what happened. This mechanic works for American Airlines at its hub in Miami. It was a flight in July, on July 17th, supposed to go from Miami to Nassau in the Bahamas. According to the complaint, this mechanic had altered the flight data module. Now, this is the module that controls airspeed, direction, a number of other critical parameters within an aircraft. But the airplane aborted takeoff once an error message came up, so it never took off. It's unclear how far it was into the process of preparing to take off. When the error message came up, they then returned back to the gate. They started investigating, and they determined that the air data module had been altered. According to the arrest affidavit, the mechanic's intent was not to cause harm to the aircraft, but to cause a delay or have the flight canceled in anticipation of obtaining overtime work. As you take a look at shares of American Airlines, remember, these guys are in the midst of a very bitter dispute between the mechanics union, which represents about 12,000 workers, and the airline over a new contract. And there have been a number of delays, massive delays within the system relative to the rest of the airline industry this summer. But that's what we know, according to the arrest affidavit, as it was unsealed.
Hey, Phil, do you think, though, this is going to be considered terrorism?
Could be. I mean, this is a federal crime when you are messing around with a commercial aircraft. So, I mean, there is always that possibility. I think that everybody's going to be really interested to see how this unfolds. Simply trying to delay an aircraft, I mean, there are a lot of ways people could probably do that, aside from altering with the air data module, which clearly is a huge safety risk if this plane had been able to take off.
I think it raises larger questions about this ongoing issue with the mechanics union, too. I mean, I had never considered something like this as a flyer. What do you think it indicates, Phil?
No, I think that is at the heart of this, Becky. This dispute between the mechanics and American has resulted in hundreds of delays and cancellations this summer. They've gone into mediation. There have been lawsuits filed on both sides as they're trying to work this out. And the history in the airline industry is not a good one when it comes to these types of labor disputes between certain work groups and the airlines. And in this case, it flared up in just really a story. When you first read this, you look at it and you go, are you kidding me?
Right.
It is very scary.
What do we know about this mechanic? His name is Abdul Majid Maruf Ahmed.
Not much more than that at this point, Andrew. I have not been able to determine much more in terms of how long he was with the airline. You know, when you read the arrest affidavit, it makes it clear his intent, according to the affidavit, was to cause a delay. But as I said earlier, a lot of other ways you can do that besides sabotaging the air data module.